I have to admit, I probably like Jerry Reynolds more than I'm a Kings fan. And after so many pretty rough seasons with the Kings, it's just terribly hard to get emotionally involved with them. But I have to tell you, this year I started listening to the podcast that you're on, the Kings Herald podcast. I would imagine this is the first time in 30 years that you've been able to say whatever you want to say.
Yeah, good point. I mean, definitely when you're not, working for someone and people would say, well, if you should be more honest or whatever. I say, well, you got to have, if you're going to work for somebody and take their money, you ought to show some level of loyalty.
Yeah.
And so I think I still try to be fair, but, and I tried to be fair before. I always said that rather than I kind of went out of my way. If I didn't want to criticize the team, I'd give the other team more credit.
Yeah.
Give them credit for good play rather than just beating down the home team. But yeah, it's definitely a very comfortable feeling now just working with the Kings Herald and Will Griffith and Tony Zipteris because, if they ask me a question and I'll try to answer it as honest as I can. I mean, it's like anything else. There's going to be a certain percentage of people not agree with you, whatever you say.
Right. But it's just, I've listened to you for 30 years and just to hear that honesty, and it's different. Like most of the time when you hear any sort of commentary, it's either like a media person, who just really doesn't know, you know, they're more entertaining, and that sort of thing. Or it's more, like national level, and they're never going to go into any depth of anything. And anyway, I just want to tell you, I really enjoy it. And like you said, Will and Tony, they do a great job.
They do a great job.
It's really good.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, I've listened to every one of them this year. And, one of the funniest stories you told me or told on the podcast, well, it was at the trade deadline. And, you're telling some stories of, at trades and all that sort of stuff. And you talked about Red Auerbach, and that Red Auerbach every year, he just wanted to shake up the team in some ways. And so he would contact another GM and be like totally upfront and, hey, I'm going to trade you my asshole player for your asshole. And I just, Jerry, I was listening to it in the middle of the night and my wife was sleeping and I just was roaring laughing. I mean, it was just cracked me up. And I got to hear Jerry swear because, you didn't swear, obviously.
You can't swear on the air. I mean, so I use, I probably, but it's the way I talk, occasionally use those words, and I try not to take the Lord's name in vain. But,
okay.
It was true that I always remember Bill Russell telling me that story about Red, and when I worked with Bill, and, it made perfect sense when you thought about it, because, I mean, what fans sometimes don't know is that every team's got an unhappy guy or two because they're not playing enough or whatever. It may not be justified, but they're unhappy.
Yeah.
And Red, wisely just knew that, hey, I can shake this thing up. And like he said that, the guy that comes in, even if he's a jerk, will try to fit in, be a good guy for a half year.
Exactly.
Just like my guy will go there and he'll be a good guy for a half year.